Of North Carolina, and Tyler Crawley, a young Republican who hosts his own show on WAAV Radio in Wilmington. Gentlemen, good to see you. Thank you for stopping by as always. The two big topics, I think, are really some education issues in this state and, of course, the big budget issue up in the nation's capital. Of course, the Affordable Care Act always sitting out there as well. But, Sam, let's start with you. You work in the education field. This lawsuit over vouchers in the state, essentially. The plaintiff saying that it's unconstitutional, and the right basically saying that it's choice and it's deserved. What do you make of the lawsuit?
Well, first, as an educator, I see students from private schools, public schools, charter schools, the entire gamut. And in that work, I don't think that it's appropriate that we should be spending public money on private schools that we have no oversight over the curriculum. We don't know if they're good. We don't know if they're bad. There's a very wide range in quality over private schools, and it's not up to the North Carolina government, it's not up to North Carolina taxpayers to be funding those private schools. Now, if people want to choose a private school, they're absolutely within their right to do so, but we shouldn't be spending public money to be funding those private schools. And I know with the litigators who are working on that case, they have put together a really strong brief, and I'm really interested to see where that case goes, because I think that there's a lot of merit to the idea that vouchers aren't just really bad policy that most North Carolinians oppose. It's also unconstitutional in the frame that our North Carolina state constitution promises a free education.
Tyler, what do you think?
Well, I agree with Sam that we shouldn't use public money, but when it comes to taxpayer money, I think taxpayers should decide where taxpayer money goes. And we're not talking about everyone. I mean, this voucher program's sort of been set up to help the people that need it the most. We're not talking about giving wealthy families money to send their wealthy kids to private schools. We're talking about sending kids that are in, we know, failing schools. The Democrats have argued they're failing schools. They've talked about how bad the schools have become in the last couple of years. And so they're the ones arguing how bad the public schools are. And so what we're saying is, okay, fine, let's fix the schools, but what do we do for the 5 or 10 years while we're fixing the schools? Let's get those children educated, and the only way to do that really is to find somewhere for them to go, and let's provide a voucher program with taxpayer money. The taxpayers think it's a good idea. They're the ones that voted these gentlemen into office and said that that's what they wanted.
What do you make of the argument, though, that, we can't fix the schools? I mean, taking kids out of school is not helping fix the schools. That you're taking their per pupil funding, which is not all just to those students. I mean, what about that argument?
Well, I understand that argument, and I always hear from teachers that they want smaller class sizes. So I think having fewer kids in schools would be better for the teachers. They could have more one-on-one time with the students. And at the end of the day, it costs $8,500 to educate a child in North Carolina. We're taking 42 out and taking an entire child out of the school, meaning there's actually $4,200 left in the school. It's a financial term called an average up, and this actually increases the per pupil spending in the North Carolina school system, which I think the educators want. So we're spending more money per child, and we're getting smaller class sizes. I see that as a win-win in this whole situation.
Sam, you buy that at all?
Not at all. We're not getting smaller class sizes. Speaker Tillis and the General Assembly have taken $500 million out of the education budget. They've made it harder to get an education in North Carolina, and in most counties, in most school districts, class sizes are not getting smaller. It's getting harder to educate children. It's getting harder to get that one-on-one time that's so valuable for students. And, what is Speaker Tillis's response to all this? He says that, the people who are complaining about these cuts to education are just a bunch of whining losers. We can't really count on this General Assembly to do anything in the right direction on education, because they gave us a voucher program that most North Carolinians don't want. They cut $500 million out of our education budget. I don't think that they have any idea what they're doing when it comes to public education.
Well, the cuts to education debate, that's another one we can spend hours on, no question about that. Let's head to our nation's capital now. Tyler, I want to start with you, the Republican here. We have this budget deal that I guess people are happy with, but Speaker Boehner is making some interesting points, saying basically these conservative groups have lost their clout and their influence. Is this just going to enrage the far right even more?
Doesn't take much to do that nowadays. Obviously, this is a big issue in the Republican Party right now, the two factions, the sort of conservative establishment versus the conservative grassroots. And yes, obviously, those comments from Speaker Boehner are going to enrage the far right. Are they warranted? I don't know. I think there are some legitimate claims. I mean, we've seen Senator McConnell, who most argue is no Tea Party senator, came out and said he's not going to vote for it because he doesn't like the fact that we've increased what we're spending. We should have kept, as we heard from Democrats for so long, with whether it's Obamacare or whatever it is, it's the law of the land. We should keep it in place. Sequestration was the law of the land, so we're changing that. And so many conservatives are saying, yeah, I understand that there are some benefits to this budget, but at the end of the day, we're spending more money. So fiscal conservatives are not going to like it. I've heard a lot of commentary from those on the far right that there are some provisions in there that'll keep Republicans from being able to stop Democrats from raising taxes in the future, which they're not happy about. So at the end of the day, I don't know what's going to end up happening. Obviously, the far right's going to be upset about this. I don't know if it's going to be enough to stop it from passing, though. There are a lot of Republicans that are supporting it.
Well, we did talk on your radio show today, too. It puts, Renee Elmers and Mark Meadows and some of the others in a tough spot. Sam, we know that some of the far left is not happy with this deal as well, but overall it seems like it's a little quieter than the Republican side. I mean, what do you think of this deal?
Well, obviously, with the deal on unemployment, that's a big problem. And even though we have people like, Senator Hagan who are working to make sure that we get better unemployment benefits and a better negotiation for unemployment insurance back here in North Carolina, unfortunately, we still have some cuts that we have to take to be able to do business. However, what this means and what this compromise means is that Democrats have always been committed through each of these budgeting processes to make sure that the United States government stays open for business, that it keeps people employed, that it keeps on doing the work of the people. And luckily, it seems like this time around, the Republicans haven't thrown a wrench in the United States government.
Well, I think one thing all of the American people can agree on is thank goodness we don't have to talk about this in depth and worry about the government shutting down over the holidays this year. That's one thing we can all agree on. Sam Spencer and Tyler Crawley, good to see you guys as always. Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Happy holidays.
All right, we're out of time. We'll see you back here tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for Capitol Tonight. Good evening.